Hi, and I'm with Funds Asafu. How's it going, Funds?
Hey, Masud, thanks for having me. Doing well. How are you?
Dude, that's an amazing username, first of all. Funds Asafu indeed. So we're going to be talking about funds and specifically liquidation bots. You are a liquidator bot operator. I guess first question is, how did you get into liquidating vaults in crypto?
Yeah, so I got into the Polygon network in March of this year and got turned on to the thematic, my QiDao, whatever you want to call it, got turned on to that project pretty early on. There was this opportunity to liquidate vaults at the very beginning. It was almost a manual process that people were liquidating vaults manually. And just over the last couple months, continued to get more and more serious about being competitive about liquidating these vaults, and it's just developed from there.
Okay, sweet. How was it before? How did they used to work, and how do they work now?
For folks who aren't 100% familiar with how the liquidations work, when the my.finance vaults first came out, the way that the liquidations worked was anytime a vault collateralization ratio, that is the ratio of the collateral to the debt, anytime that ratio fell below 150%, anybody could go in and press a button and liquidate the vault. And when they did that, what happened on the back end was your wallet paid off enough of the debt to bring that vault back up to 150%. And you were then transferred that vault in its entirety. So you got all the collateral. You also incurred all the debt, but it was very profitable because you could pay off the debt and withdraw the collateral. So you got that difference between the collateral and the debt for a very small amount of money up front. People made tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. A few months ago, the team switched to what they call partial liquidations. And that's the system that we currently have. Under the new system, anytime a vault falls below 150%, or I should say 155% for the CAM token vaults, anytime the vault falls below 150%, you can partially liquidate that vault. And what that means is you put up half of that vault's debt that gets repaid back, and you're then reimbursed that equivalent dollar amount in the underlying collateral plus a 10% bonus. So it's gone from very large profit margins to now you're making 10% back of the amount of the debt that you paid off. So that's been a big development over the last couple of months and has really reduced, from the liquidator side, it's reduced the profit, but from the user side, it's reduced the sting of going and checking your vault and seeing that you've been entirely cleared out and you've essentially had a 30% loss.
That's perfect from your perspective as a liquidator bot operator. What are your general views on liquidator bots, and what are the general views from other people you may have heard of or something along those lines?
Yeah, it's been interesting seeing the discussions that have happened on, this is not my normal Discord handle. I'm pretty active in the QiDao Discord. And it's been interesting seeing that there's a lot of almost hatred against bots. I saw somebody yesterday say, "Oh, I hate the bots so much." And one thing that I think people have to realize when they're engaged in these sort of blockchain projects, Web 3.0, is that anytime you're using blockchain, all that the blockchain is a ledger that has these smart contracts that we've put on them. So the Polygon network doesn't actually run liquidations. It's not running anything for QiDao that's keeping track and making sure that the vaults are all properly collateralized. So in any of these blockchain projects, these protocols, you rely on bots that are running off-chain, whether that's being run by the protocol or being run by individuals, to come in and make sure that everything's being run efficiently. When we see SushiSwap or QuickSwap or Uniswap, the reason that those prices are all accurate is because there are bots out there that are arbitraging the prices. It's very similar when you have vaults or deposits like in Aave or in Mai. Those vaults have to stay above a certain collateralization rate for the protocol to be safe. Mai only gets its value as a stable coin is only stable because it's backed by these vaults. So the system really relies upon bots to come in and to liquidate these vaults anytime they go below 150% to make sure that the system is stable. And it really can't be done manually by people because in the event that there was a significant market crash, you would need to liquidate those vaults basically instantaneously. And we are just not fast enough to go in and liquidate them. Well, a lot of people may say, oh, I hate the fact that there are bots out there and that there are people making money. This is really a inherent feature and requirement of blockchain technology and Web 3.0, is that there are people out there running these programs on their own machines, making sure that the system is being run efficiently.
So when someone says that they hate the bots, it's really like, oh, you're hating the people that you actually rely on, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the alternative that people propose is that, oh, vaults could just be liquidated by the QiDao team. But that's really asking a lot of them. That would be asking for them to be running and updating a bot themselves and redistributing the profits, back to the community.
So it's not like an easy process. Is it hard to get into liquidating bots? Like, or do you need programming skills? Do you write your own program scripts, or do you get it from a market?
Yes, you need some kind of programming skills to build these bots, but the barrier to entry for learning these skills, I think, is actually not as high as some people would think. There's some good templates that have been shared on the Discord for this project in the programming thread. For example, I didn't really have any formal programming background before the pandemic started. I've really taught myself a lot of JavaScript, and Solidity being the programming language that you use for smart contracts. I've taught myself most of that in the last 6 months. So I think that anybody who wants to get into it and wants to learn some of these skills, it's fairly easy to get into. And once you have developed these skills, they're applicable across all these Web 3.0 decentralized applications. It really feels like what I imagine it must have felt like being around in the early days of computers or in the early days of the internet, where with a couple months of teaching yourself a skill, you can all of a sudden have all these opportunities available to you.
Okay, sweet. How's the competition then? Is it difficult?
Yeah, it's definitely been fun. Numbers wise, I actually don't think there are that many people on QiDao running these bots. There's maybe only, half a dozen of them, but they've been constantly developing since the project began. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it was almost to the point that you could just manually go in and find the vaults that needed to be liquidated and click on them. On the user interface, it'll say estimated liquidation price. Literally the second that price drops to that number, the bots go in and they liquidate the vault. So it's fiercely competitive. Even though they have reduced the profit significantly, there's still a lot of money to be made. And anytime you have a lot of money to be made, people are going to be competitive about it.
Yeah, people are going to be flocking towards the money, I suppose. The only thing then is, like you said, the My.finance team, people saying that they should be doing it. So do you see that it might be heading towards that way, where the QiDao protocol does it automatically by itself? Like, where do you see liquidations going or heading?
If you look at other projects, other established projects like that's really not the path that most projects have chosen to take. I think it's a lot to put on one team. If let's say they decide to do it and they're running it on a computer or on a server, and that computer goes out, they lose power, and just at that same time the market crashes, and then all of a sudden the protocol is ruined. Relying on external people to do the liquidation is a safety valve, in the sense that you have lots of people all over the world who are all trying to liquidate these vaults. I get the point that some people would rather have these profits go back into the community, but it's just not really the path that most protocols have taken. And it's definitely safer from a collateralization rate perspective to have lots of people ensuring that the vaults remain properly collateralized than to centralize that onto one person. When we talk about decentralization, and the idea here is that at some point it would be great if this entire project was handed over to the DAO. We've already seen the prospects of funds being handed over to multi-sig wallets and other projects. So I think if we want the goal to truly be for this project to be truly decentralized, it's a bit inconsistent to say, oh, the dev team should be doing all the liquidations, because then you have the dev team that is basically running this liquidation bot. If you want it to be truly decentralized, it has to be all on chain. And if it's all on chain, then you have to open it up to the community.
That sounds fair to me, and it makes a lot of sense. We'll just have to see what everyone decides and their perspectives. I guess for me, that's it. I was curious if you had any questions that maybe I didn't ask you that I should have, or any last comments?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, this has been been a great conversation. I hope it's been enlightening for some folks out there. And yeah.
I hope so too. And I hope everyone's funds are SAFU. And yeah, I guess we will see each other sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thanks for coming. Ciao.
Ciao.